Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Ginge Pedro Show. I am, of course, your host, the Gingelo, changing it up this week,
Yeah, you are.
alongside me, Mr. Pedro Ang. What's your Juggalo name, buddy? I've been getting into
I
ICP here
I
lately.
don't know, man. Like the whole Juggalo thing. The I've never been an Insane Clan Posse fan. I have to say, never.
Did
They
we
were
ever
not my
figure out
cup
how
of tea.
magnets worked? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. That's. I'm still working on that.
I've I've been on a sort of unironically getting into them.
Mm,
Growing
yep.
up as a white trash trailer kid,
Oh
a lot of
well.
my friends were into it, and I remember listening to it. But I don't. They had one song that I liked that was just
Yeah.
sort of fell back into my wheelhouse here
Mm,
lately, and I was like, all right, let's
yeah.
see what else they
Gotcha.
were doing back in the day.
Yeah. Like
There's
I don't know.
actually
Like
some
I don't have
groovy
a.
bass lines.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with new metal per se. Like I can't say,
Yeah,
but I can't say I'm a
yeah.
big fan. Like I enjoyed Corn, maybe
Me
Deftones,
too.
but then all the bands that came afterwards, like they all sounded the same to me. And maybe it's because I was already old when new metal came about. Like at 94, I was 20, and I grew up listening to Maiden, Metallica, Megadeth, and playing that stuff. So that when this came on, like they sound like new bands to me still, which kind of carbon dates me.
Mm.
But yeah, that's the thing. Like in St. Cloud Posse, it was like, oh, another one of those. It's
I
just
feel you. I mean,
yeah.
let's not get confused. They're not the most respected band. In fact, like I
No, not
remember
really.
at some point, I think I was 16 or 17, the
Hmm.
Juggalos got banned from my mall, just as
Oh,
generally speaking, like the mall, like they actually
yeah,
implemented this thing to where past 5 o'clock, if you were under 18, you couldn't be at the mall without parental supervision. And they had the mall
that's
cops, like
horrible.
motherfuckers at the door checking IDs and
Mm.
shit.
Oh man,
Damn. News.
at the
Okay,
mall.
anyways, we're getting really lost in
Yeah,
the sauce this week.
yeah, we're
Um,
rambling on the juggalos. This is all your
yeah,
fault.
I know. I'm sorry. We got Pops here. What's up, Pops?
Oh,
Haircut still
pops.
throws me off. It does me
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Speaking of old music, like right after I cut my hair, I threw on some ACDC, and I think it was like
nice,
who made who, and I was like,
nice.
I could just
Oh,
feel my hair. I'm like, what did I
yeah,
do?
dude. Maximum Overdrive. That's actually a good movie. You know, like Who Made Who was the theme song for
Mm.
a horror film called Maximum Overdrive, where like
Hmm.
cars and machines came to life. And
Yes, I haven't seen it, but I recently heard that story actually.
yeah. The movie is entertaining. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
It has a huge truck with the Green Goblin face on it, and that's like the
Ah,
most iconic thing about that whole movie.
I, yes, I know that truck actually. Okay.
And the
Well,
song, and the song.
yeah, the song is actually pretty fun. Okay, so
Oh yeah, dude.
no, speaking of fun, we do have a guest here. I can feel the winds a blowing, buddy. So I hope you're grab a hold of something. We've got a
Yep.
Category 5 hurricane coming to town,
Yes, sir.
ladies and gentlemen. The weatherman, Mister Eric Weathers.
How you
Hold
doing?
on a second. Category 5 hurricane. I think maybe we should be considering an F5 tornado. I do live in Kansas after all. There are no
No,
hurricanes
Ooh,
in Kansas.
okay, my bad. I'm from Florida,
God,
so that's our thing.
God damn
Okay.
it, Ginge.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I also have this. So, Eric, you're kind of here for a debut. Can y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Yep.
What was that?
I've implemented. That was our live studio audience. I forgot to tell you, buddy. I've hired one.
This
for the
is
show.
news to me too, man. You gotta run these things by me because I already look like an idiot. So don't add don't add to the image with surprises. Yeah,
Oh, man.
They didn't like that, Pedro.
yeah,
They didn't like it at all.
yeah. Jesus Christ.
No. I've got a few more, but I'll save it for more appropriate.
Yeah, please
here.
do.
But okay, so we got Shadowhawk. Hey, buddy. Thanks
What's
for,
up,
thanks for
Shadow?
hanging out, talking.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. So,
Yeah.
Eric, how's your day been, sir? How's life?
Busy. Pretty busy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Nice.
day job.
Very good.
Then, working on my own book and working on other people's books. It's a never-ending cycle. I'm on that
Yeah,
hamster wheel
it is.
pretty much the whole time.
Yeah, dude. That
Yeah.
Rattle Big Road looks amazing, man. So yeah, I'm waiting hard on that one. What's up, Carrie?
Hello, Carrie. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate you. Okay, Eric. So we'll just go ahead and sort of dive into it, buddy.
Yeah, let's do it.
Obviously, you're a comic book fan. When did it start? Did you grow up as a reader, or did you come into it later in life? What's your story there?
I grew up not necessarily as a reader, but just as a fan of the characters. I watched the X-Men cartoons, Batman cartoons, collected comics. Didn't really read them. I was just like, I liked the drawings, and I was more into the collectible card stuff. So my friends and I would actually trade our trading cards on the bus on the way to school. I'd bring my Trapper Keeper with, 20, 30 pages of 9x9 or 9 card sleeves, and I had the Fleer sets and the tops and upper deck and just all that stuff that was everything Marvel was doing back then. Just sort of fell right into my wheelhouse. Just wanting to be able to learn how to draw and being inspired by that. So I guess I kind of started with that. Like I said, the X-Men cartoon was a big influence, and that was in the 90s. So when I was buying the X-Men comics at the time, and I was doing the Wizard magazine thing, and I was in it, but I wasn't necessarily. I mean, I would read comics, but I wasn't like in it. Just loved storylines and was following all of that stuff. For me, it was about who's drawing what. I want to know what they're drawing, and I want to follow that because I'm here for the art. So. Fell out of it for a few years, and then kind of decided, I think sophomore year or something, that I would kind of take it more seriously. Started collecting again, and it's mostly like if Jim Lee drew it, I wanted a copy of it.
Yeah.
Started making my own stories, my own comics, my own mutants.
Very cool. So you were inspired by the X-Men, like the animated the animated series. How did the Batman, the animated series, hit you?
I don't know. It was just part of the lineup of things I watched. It wasn't. Yeah, I definitely like the X-Men more, but there was something about that animated series that was in that opening scene is iconic, timeless even. So I don't know if I could really put my finger on it, other than it just made me want to do it. Made me want to, and when you're like 10 or 11, you wanted to be Wolverine. You wanted to be
exactly.
You run around in the front yard with your friends, throwing imaginary exploding cards at each other and stuff. So
fun.
So I mean,
very nice.
Just that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, but it's kind of cool because I mean, the thing is like. The X-Men and the animated series, in my case, like I watched it, but I liked it. But Batman, the animated series, made me want to become an animator. So that was the thing that X-Men, the X-Men series, and dude, people hate me when I say that, but I don't care. It's not properly animated because the producers were trying to emulate completely the comic books, and those designs are not made to be animated. With the Batman the animated series, they basically transformed the designs so that they could be properly animated. But yeah, like the X-Men, it's a huge influence. Like everybody watched that, and there's like certain series that do that, like X-Men, like Dragon Ball, the first one. Even adults were watching that, and Batman the animated series. So it's like a recurrent theme. Like everybody says like X-Men, Batman, or Dragon Ball. So yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
That's my
Spider-Man.
I mean, it was a huge influence. Yeah, Spider-Man in the early or mid 90s. Yeah, that was there. That was there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the games. Like X-Men on the Genesis and things like that. Yeah.
Very nice. So, what about your artistic journey? You also are an artist, right? A penciler and inker as well.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I just kind of I've always drawn. As cliche as that may be, but I mean it's true. And in school, I was the kid that was drawing things for friends that was asked to do the school assignment kind of thing, or I would do. One of the things I did actually quite a bit was I would borrow my friends. It was a magazine or a guide of some kind. It was Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. and it was like character bios and move lists and things like that for I think the Sega Genesis. That's the system I had, and I was copying. Like I would draw Scorpion, color him with my colored pencils or whatever, and then on this off to the side, I had written his bio and all of his moves and all that. So I had my own guide, and that was one of the like first big things I did. As like a complete thing. I don't have them anymore, unfortunately. I don't know whatever happened to them, but they're hidden in an attic somewhere. But
like I don't want you to take it the wrong way, because I mean I don't know how you grew up, but this sounds like when poor kids do really cool things. You know, like you would grab like a guide, like I want to buy it. I drew it and I copied it, and it's like it didn't cost me a cent, but it's cooler than what you have. But I don't know.
I wish I still had that. I don't know what I did with it. But you're right. I mean, you had to get creative because
exactly.
$6 for a magazine or whatever it was back then. I don't know, but
yeah,
I was more interested in getting Mountain Dew and a Super Rope than buying a book. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that for you, the art was one of the things that was really pulling you to it. Obviously, or for me, it took. I'm a writer, so while I've always loved comic books and the characters, and of course the art, for me it was always the story that got me hooked. And it really wasn't getting into comics on the creative side that I was like realized how much of my life as a comic book fan actually revolves around artwork in general. I find that kind of interesting.
I mean, we wouldn't be comic book fans if the artwork wasn't involved to some degree. I mean,
if the story sucked,
that's half of the reason I think for most of it existing.
The eternal debate.
It's great artwork. You can't have one without the other, really.
Yeah.
Even if there's no script written, even if it's just sequential art, it's still a story that can be read, even though there's no words. So. It certainly is. It has a broad appeal. So,
indeedy, very nice. Okay, so at what point did you sort of dive into creating comics? With any sort of seriousness? Is this?
Yeah, I was probably about 16 or 17 when I was like, I'm gonna do it, but I never really took it seriously until. I was probably 23, because I had said I want to be a comic book artist, and I like drew. You find out about all the things that you need to learn how to draw, which is basically everything.
Yeah.
But obviously anatomy is a big deal, and you find out about these books. You got to do studies out of Andrew Loomis books and things like that, or get the How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, and I took all of that and tried to get better at drawing, but I never really had a purpose, or I never had a direction to aim towards other than I want to do this. But there was nothing to attach that to up until about, say, 2009, 2010. A couple of friends and I were hanging out in my house, and we're like, you know what? We should do a comic book. We should actually do a comic book. And we came up. It eventually led to what became the Flying Fortress book that I did then, which
I remember
that took several years to get through. But it was ultimately that was the catalyst for me buckling down and taking it seriously, because we had decided, okay, we're going to do this. We drew some preliminary stuff, had some preliminary thoughts and ideas scripted out, and then one of the co-creators, Andy, he bought a table at Planet Comic Con in Kansas City. We didn't have a book yet, but it was like 4 months away, and he was like, all right, we got to get something. Let's make something happen. So we quickly drew an 8-page ash can and had it printed at Kinko's or whatever, and stapled it ourselves in my basement, and did it kit bash style. And the show was, I think, 2011. And we started, I guess you could say, started my professional career then with that, selling that book at the convention.
Right on.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Oh.
Absolutely. So,
go
ahead, Pedro.
Go ahead. Sorry. That's clearly my throat. Do it.
You're all right there, buddy. How about this here? Since that could have been I'm slow on the soundtrack here. Pedro's.
Dude, I'm hating this, Ginge. I'm hating it with a passion. Just letting you know.
You sure you don't love it?
I'm not telling you to stop. I'm just telling you I hate it.
Okay. Does anybody else love it? Eric, are you loving it or somebody?
I don't hate it,
love it,
but the best I can do is I don't hate it.
Oh my god.
Best he can do. He doesn't hate. Okay, thank you. That's really all I think I can ask for. Truthfully.
Yeah.
So, let's say hello to the chat real quick. We've got some friends coming by here. Chris Fisk, hey buddy.
What's
Thanks
up,
for
Chris?
coming by. It's great to see you, Fantaza. Hello.
Hey, what's up, Anna?
Chris says, as much as the art gets my attention, the story is what gets me to buy additional books.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very well. Yeah. Right. That also. Yeah. Okay. So he says the Crow shows us that an amazing story can sell a book with subpar art.
Oh, shots fired.
Big, right.
Yeah.
It is an interesting style, and there is definitely a lot to the this backstory behind the Crow, and of course, the movie. With that additional.
I don't know. The comic itself, like I read it. I don't want to say I found it pretentious. I wouldn't do it. But
I think that's the old man in you, Pedro. You've been old several times on this episode already, buddy.
Mm-hmm, yeah, I'm olding today. Sorry.
It's all right.
Somebody has
Sorry.
We've got Ichthus. Hey, pal. Fellow Florida man.
Ichthus?
Good to see you. Chris, Red Dress Press. Hey, buddy. Chris. Ginge, where is your hair? I cut it off.
We're all asking that.
It was hotter than shit, and I'm not responsible enough to handle it, really, so it just had to go.
Oh, you don't invest in products?
No, it's not even that, really. It's I hate brushing it because I have a really tender head, so it's like I wouldn't brush it, and it would just knot up, and then you'd have to fight through knots. Okay. And I just, you can pay attention to past episodes of the show, and people have made comments about me looking homeless. So I just was like, all right, I guess we'll.
Do you hear the thunder?
Is that yours? Because we had thunder here earlier. I don't know what's going on.
That's me. Like,
it's
the rainy season in the tropics is starting. So yeah.
Eric, bringing the weather, bringing the thunder.
I did. I'm bringing the thunder.
Very nice. Says, I'm not mad at you, Ginge. Just disappointed. Okay. Hey, Ginge, how have the dog injuries healed? I'm doing good, buddy. Doing good. My ankle still hurts, but I got attacked by a dog.
You didn't get attacked. You got mauled. That wasn't an attack, man.
Yeah. Yes. It was like actually, what was it, March 31st or whatever, right before April 1st.
Around,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's all good. It's all good. I'm good, though, Chris. Thanks for asking. So, Eric, let's sort of get a little more current here. At what point did you get into CG? And obviously, you've been working with Vaughn. You guys are, the dynamic duo. Could you sort of catch us up to speed there?
Well, I worked on Flying Fortress for about 7 years. It led up to about 2016 is when we finished that, and I had stopped doing comics. Actually, it kind of burned me out because I'd done it for so long. It was slow. It was like a side thing, I'd do basically an issue a year, and I wanted to do something else, so I started to learn digital painting and like concept art design and things like that, and I started going down that route, and then I came up with this idea, basically a very common, almost cliche prompt for coming up with concept designs is take two things that don't mix and put them together, come up with a cool design. And long story short, that's how I came up with Battle Brick Road. It started out just as like, what would it look like if Wizard of Oz were a modern military shooter video game? And it led into ultimately saying, this is actually a pretty cool idea for a story. I'm going to go back into comics and make it happen. So I come across a fellow creator here in town, and I had lettered his book. I didn't know who he was at the time. And he, a couple of years prior to that, had actually been to one of my convention tables and knew about Flying Fortress. And, we were both in the scene, just didn't ever cross paths. And we happened to one day, and then we decided, hey, you know what? Let's do something together. I had a couple ideas scribbled out, and I gave him a list to choose from, and he picked the Oz thing, thinking, oh, that'll be easy. That won't take won't take too long. So that was 2000. Oh, I don't even remember now. 2017, and then we've been tinkering on it ever since. Obviously, we've got the first book out. We're working on the second one now, and 2 more after that. But that led into me lettering that first book that I mentioned a minute ago. Led into me lettering professionally, which has sort of been a whirlwind since that started. It's been full time.
You know what? I want to take this opportunity to coin it, because you told me you never heard this, but Eric Weathers is the Kevin Bacon of CG. Because every book we're like 6 degrees away from Eric Weathers. You work in CG, so I'm coining it. I said it.
All right.
And most people are only 1 degree away.
Yeah. So, Eric, I do have a question for you, because you like, there's like quintessential moments in this community, and one of them is when you jumped over everyone and got the first basically peanut art out of Jesus, I'm blanking out on the name. Jesus Christ, but like Ethan was on it. But he's like, oh, Kenneth Rockerford. Like Ethan was on it. Like, no, we're gonna go. And you just called him for like, no, I got you first. And he did that amazing Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Like, what were you thinking when you saw like, I'm gonna be the first one to do it?
Well, it's actually kind of happened kind of weird. Ethan was teasing that another pro was gonna fly the flag of CG, and I was like, who is it? And then I saw in the chat, I saw Metagraphia in the chat, and I knew who that was. I knew instantly. Why is he in the chat? Oh my gosh, it's him. It's right. Kenneth Rocafort. This is amazing, because I loved his work. And
who doesn't?
He followed me. I guess maybe I was on the panel. I don't remember all the details, but he followed me on Twitter, and then I was like, all right, well, I got to at least say hello to this guy, because he's been a big influence on me artistically and all that. So I dropped him a DM and said, hey, welcome to CG. I'm happy to love that you're here. This is fantastic. And he was like, thanks. I just want people to know I'm not SJW. And then he mentioned that he liked my Scarecrow design, because I was showing off Battle Recruit stuff. And I was like, well, I need somebody to do a trading card. Would you, could we do a trading card? Would you mind? And he said, sure. And then, a couple of weeks later, I get this artwork and it blows me away. And I show it, and everybody's like, that has to be a cover. I want that cover.
Yeah,
so,
dude, it was that easy.
It was like 48 hours left in the 60 days, I think. And I dropped that, and then just things took off from there. It was pretty legit.
Yeah, dude, that was awesome. Like that's one of the I don't know, like Chariots of Fire moments, like slow-mo music, ding 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 ding. Was that, man? Like I was so happy for you when that happened. So,
yeah, it was incredible. Yeah.
I
just need lightning to strike twice, and I need to get him another cover.
What's that?
I need lightning to strike twice.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna say real quick, Pedro, I'm gonna bump you out real quick, and then I'm gonna bring you back in, just so we're not. Feels rude if I'm covering our guest's face with what are nice chats, but I know, buddy.
By the way, you can just click and drag those icons around.
No, he just wanted to bump me out. That's all.
He just wanted to bump you. I get it.
Yeah,
okay, all right.
That is true. That is actually true. But I'm on Pops's network, the Madness Network, and since I'm not the owner of the thing, I can't actually wiggle people around back here. So yeah,
no wiggling.
But I will happily bump Pedro again. There we go. No,
I like it.
Do it.
Okay, great.
I think he likes it.
We got the Bob Ross of lettering. What do you think?
Yeah.
Would that stick? Kevin Bacon of CG, the Bob Ross of lettering?
I don't know.
Happy little sound effects.
Yeah, happy little sound
effects.
Happy
little thought bubbles.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And we actually do want to talk lettering, just
Sure.
generally speaking, but obviously we want to talk your book here. But I just want to say hello to Just Call Me Hen. Hello, Hen.
And
Thanks for coming by. Very nice. Okay, so Battle Brick Road, very nice. Funded, 71 hours to go. Obviously, this is your second chance campaign.
Of sorts. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. Going over, obviously, we did bangers on the first campaign, reached just over 102 grand, which is
congrats
still
on that.
unbelievable. I don't know how it happened. A lot of.
It's well deserved, sir. It's well deserved.
Thank you. And so I thought, you know what? There are people over in the green site, as some people call it, that have never heard of Battle Brick Road. So I'm going to go hunting. I'm going to go fishing. I'm going to go find some people and bring them on over to CG. Let them know what we're doing over here. So it was a short run campaign. Got a new Kelsey Shannon cover, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Dropped it a little sooner than it was going to be the follow-up, second chance on the next campaign. But I was like, you know what? Let's grease the wheels over here a little bit. And he did a phenomenal job. It's probably it's honestly, I can't decide if this is my favorite or if Kenneth is my favorite. They're just so, so good. I mean, this feels like a card for like a G.I. Joe action figure or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Super, especially with this, like the way the colors gradiate out like that. It's got that.
And the thing is, it's like no outline. I don't know. I'm not wearing my glasses, so they're going like full painterly on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a mix of both. So he works in a line art style, and then he paints over top of it. So
on top of it,
yeah. There are places where the line art is still there.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of the extremities, the hands and things like that. But most of the stuff's painted away, rendered out. But I love how it just sort of a blend of the two. It's right.
Yeah, very dynamic, man. Like you can tell Kelsey has like a animation background because you can tell about his poses. It's just they're jumping at you. Really cool.
Yeah.
Getting ready to punch you in the face with some awesomeness.
Nice. That's right.
Obviously, here's the Kenneth Rocafort cover. Another incredibly unique style.
My God, just
super graphic and just pleasing. Very nice. Okay, great. So I'm going to hit the trailer here. I know probably a lot of people have seen the project at this point, but there's no reason not to hit the trailer. We'll go ahead.
Let's do it.
Welcome to Oz. Tell me, how again did you find your way here? No need to worry. You are safe here. There are wonders here never seen before. You thought you could escape me?
Yeah, motherfuckers.
Very cool.
Dude, that shit was awesome, bro. From top to bottom. What is this? Cookies. I don't want cookies. No, that was awesome, Eric. Seriously. Who did your trailer?
Are you muted?
Yes.
I mute myself when videos play.
Yeah.
Ascension Cinema did the first
Oh, yeah, I remember Ascension.
cut of that trailer. They did Ethan's trailer for Red Planet.
Yeah.
And I mean, this was from when we did our initial campaign, and then I wanted to cut it down for the Kickstarter, and the artwork that was in the original trailer was not reflective of actually what was in the book. So we cut in new artwork. So I trimmed it down, and then I actually had some help with one of my coworkers over at Rippaverse, who's the video editor over there, and I had her do the transitions because it was something I can do, but it's like it's going to take me 10 times longer to do it, and so she was able to knock it out in a day.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Ready to go.
Like I tell people, like, yeah, I want to do it simple. Yeah, but you want to do something simple, but if you hire somebody who can do it for you, it would be way faster. And it's way out. Like sometimes what I offer, like I can knock out a really complicated trailer in a week. If it was like that would take me like 6 months, and that's why you look for people who. I mean, we can't do everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's really cool that we have like the possibility to just reach out to the amazing pool of talent in this community.
Yes, that's actually one thing I was talking with somebody last night. Actually, is sort of we're artists, but also businessmen, and that kind of goes without saying because we're trying to sell a book. But I do think a lot of the business stuff gets lost in the sauce. And basically, what you guys are talking about is your time. You know, your time value. So,
time is money, maybe.
Yeah.
The show. Okay, wonderful. So let's dive a little deeper into the book then. Eric, if you'd like to give us a pitch,
Battlebrick Road in short is Wizard of Oz with guns. It's sort of a Wizard of Oz meets G.I. Joe adventure. You've got Thea Gale on a mission to find her long lost dad. She loses him at a young age, and she spent her entire life trying to figure out what happened to him. And then 20 years after he goes missing, she gets this message from him finally that says, Thea, I'm here, I'm alive. The coordinates are to where you can find me are here, and when you get here, follow the Yellow Brick Road. And so she hops on a cyclone dropship with a bunch of soldiers, and they go trying to find this place that has been lost in the sands of time. This place happens to be called Oz. It's controlled by 4 AI constructs. They're known as sisters. They each control a sector of Oz, north, east, south, and west. 2 of them are good and 2 of them are evil. They were created by a man known as the Wizard, and he left control over all of Oz to them, and he's missing. He is also presumed dead, basically. Nobody has seen him for 10 or more years. So Thea falls into this world, fish out of water story, and she's got a sole purpose to try and find what was taken from her when she was 6 or 7 years old. So
yeah wow, dude, very just absolutely makes sense as a comic book setup. And sort of to the point you were talking earlier, I think that's one of the really great things about comics is you can do really sort of out what might be an out there thought, like an X versus meets Y type idea, but it makes perfect sense as a comic book. G.I. Joe meets Wizard of Oz. It's just something you want to read right away. Chris Fisk says, "Yo, Tin Man." In quotes.
Yep. Tin Man is going to have a big part in the next book.
Very nice. Okay, so is this one of our sisters, or is this the main baddie, or the one?
No, that's one of the sisters. That's the Watcher of the East. Our version of the Wicked Witch of the East. Thea happens upon her little town called Eastwich when she arrives in Oz and has to deal with her in some way.
All right.
So not to give too much away if people haven't read it yet.
Absolutely. Okay, great. Could you talk a little bit about your character designs? Was there a specific element when recreating or putting your spin on each idea? Was there something you were looking for, or was it just trying to hit the lion the right way, the Tin Man the right way? What was your thoughts?
Yeah, actually, it's kind of interesting. Earlier, I mentioned how this was originally just sort of concept ideas for what might be a video game. So I drew heavily from that for inspiration. So Thea, for instance, her designs were at the very beginning were very militaristic, beret, uniform kind of thing. And I started to peel back the layers, so to speak, and took more influence from like the Jill Valentine of the Resident Evil 3 remake in a lot of her look, and some Lara Croft from the newer Tomb Raider games. But still giving it, like, in her past, there is military training. So she has, the boots and the cargo pants and things like that. She knows she knows her way around a weapon. Well, not necessarily being the strongest person there or anything, but the Scarecrow was, I guess, kind of simple. Same idea. Like, what would a sniper wear? But what would a sniper wear if you were to cross him with the Scarecrow design of the movies or anything like that? So it came to not necessarily a ghillie suit, but at least this sort of burlap cape and cowl kind of thing, where he can hide all sorts of slice and dice weapons, maybe behind his back that he can use when needed. And he's a master with the sniper rifle, sharpshooter. He's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve that I think you might see come in handy in the future. Tin Man, similar idea. He was meant to be, so I guess back to that video game analogy, he was meant to be like an engineer with a screw loose. So a little bit like Howlin' Mad Murdoch, but if he were a robot. So, and I wanted to give him a face that isn't really a face. Just because I wanted him to stand out from the rest way more than if you draw a robot face, you could do the two eyes and give him emotion. But I like the challenge of trying to give something emotion that doesn't have eyebrows. And you can play with that a little bit with like his the light that emits from his face circle or whatever. And then the lion, that was quite a bit of a. There was a lot of hoops that I jumped through there. He was originally like a heavy weapons guy. He would carry the big gun and just sort of charge into battle just as a regular human. And then it's like, what if he is a lion? And then I didn't want it to just be another anthro lion style character, because they're kind of everywhere, like a lion-o or any kind of character like that, where it's just humanoid with animal legs and an animal face. I wanted to take it a little bit further. And now he's going to stand out above all those other ones just because I have that sort of mid-transition Jekyll and Hyde thing going on, where he's half human, half lion, physically as you see him, but it also, like, that goes to the core of his character. He's half the creatures in Oz are called quadlings, so he's this hybrid between a human and a quadling, and there's going to be a lot of that plays into the story for that too.
That's actually kind of actually powerful. I don't know into how much of, like, one, it's just an interesting silhouette. Chris Fisk makes a great comment here with this great silhouette reads. But does the lion character, is it like a point of contention for him to, be a half type creature? I mean, that could really probably pull some interesting character stuff there. Yeah,
there's going to be a lot that we explore with that and with how he deals in certain situations, and what he's done in his past to be where he is. And
within the design, like what I'm noticing out of all the characters, sorry, like it's raining cats and dogs. I'm not.
That's all right. I love thunder, so we're good.
Okay. So, dude, out of all the characters, he seems like the most physical of the four. The taping, like the Muay Thai taping on the feet, the like MMA gloves on his hands, like know he'll get physical and he'll like tear you up. As opposed to the other one. So yeah, dude, like you're like attacking three vectors of violence with this character. Like, it's really cool. Look, I really like the fact that the silhouette and the form and everything is following function. So really well thought out.
I'm glad that's coming across. I'm glad that's coming across. Yeah.
For what it's worth, just as I guess ultimately an afterthought, but your lion character being a hand-to-hand combatant, it looks like, kind of really makes sense in terms of being a lion, just running up and grabbing you and ripping you apart. It's
right.
Yeah, very nice.
And it also plays into, I don't want characters to be able to do the same thing, right? So if we have that, sniper rifle who can reach out and touch you from a mile away. We need that guy that's the brawler that's going to be up front and in your face, tearing you to pieces, and then everywhere in between with the other characters. So you don't want to have any redundancies or overlaps that are unnecessary in a team like this. So, it was really important to make sure that they could each stand out on their own. Like even if we were to do, not saying we have plans for this, but if we were to do like solo issues, where each one of them is put in their up against some threat and they were on their own, you would be able to see how each of one of them would handle that differently, given the tools that they have, and it would end, the whole process of that for that character would end up differently from one another too, just based off of speaking specifically about their skill sets. Like it was important that they, it's like the Ninja Turtles, right? Together, they're better together. So,
right.
Yeah,
absolutely. No, you can kind of see maybe where some of that video game element came into the writing decision too.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got your tank, your sniper, your mid-range character, then very, very nice stuff.
You got it.
So,
and that's the thing, like you can come up with like gruesome combos. Like for some reason, like I just see like the lion going behind enemy lines and just like throwing enemies in the air so the sniper can shoot them, like stuff like that. Just like I know it's just it sparks my imagination. I love it when projects do that, because not every project does that. So that's
well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, we put a lot of thought into everything. I'm sure we've overlooked some things. I'm sure, but for character and world and just all of it, we've tried to think over what it all means and how to make them work together, and how like a character that the fish out of water that Thea Gale is, like what she can bring to the table that maybe is missing from the other three, that she might be able to coax out of them.
Very nice. Very nice. Lots of thought. I mean, you can tell from top to bottom, this is a thoughtfully developed project. The artwork's fantastic. Really digging this tree, sort of breaking the panel barrier right here. This is just kind of fun.
Thanks.
Yes. Okay, so obviously you probably lettered your own book.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I'm a beginning letterer myself. I've been at it for about a year, and just about actually probably a little over now, but it's funny. I haven't gotten many jobs, but the only jobs I have gotten were Eric was too busy. So when it comes to like Eric Weathers being the CG letterer, that is definitely the case. You got Tank Ferret. Avast ye sagacious. I can't. What is that? Sagacious scallywag.
Scallywag. Sagacious.
I'll let you keep guessing.
Yeah, sagacious.
I don't know. I apologize, Tank, but good to see you. Holy shit! It's Jake Twister. Oh my god. Hey, buddy, back from the dead. Good to see you. Just got to appreciate Weathers lettering. So, Eric, what are when you're approaching a page? What's your process like? I know there's like a couple rules people don't break as letterers, but when you see a new page for the first time, what's your thoughts?
Well, just ultimately, you want to make it readable, and sometimes it's really easy to do, and sometimes it's not. There are a lot of challenges that I think people may not realize you come across when you're lettering even a single comic book page, let alone a whole issue. Reading order is of utmost importance, and I feel like I've done that to the best of my ability on all the books I've worked on. I'm sure I had some missteps here and there along the way, as we all do, but making sure that I can convey the story the way the writer and artist intended without getting in the way of anybody, without being overly convoluted in designs of balloons. Unless I'm asked to do something crazy, I tend to just pull back and just sort of let the lettering be there and be ultimately forgotten about. That if I'm doing my job, nobody's going to even think about the lettering. They're going to read the book and enjoy the book and think about how great the writing and art are.
Right.
So, font choice is important. So I try to find. I do have some of my go-tos that sort of fit a few different styles pretty easily, but if artwork is overly stylized one way or the other, where it's a little bit more stiff, you want to find a font that reflects that. If it's a little more animated or bombastic, you want to find a font that will reflect that, so it sort of doesn't feel disjointed from the overall look and feel of the book. Things like that. It sort of a case-by-case basis. I'd say it probably falls into the 80-20 rule, where 80% of what I letter is pretty standard fare, and then 20% you have to think outside the box a little bit more, whether due to too much dialogue and not enough space, and what do you do with that, or just getting creative with where to place sound effects, or different character voices, things like that. So there's a lot that goes into it. Sure.
I'm sorry. Just as a letterer, obviously our job is just simply to put the letters on the page in the best way possible. But what if do you ever, let's say you've just got too many bubbles and not enough space?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever found it where you've suggested maybe an edit to the author, or does it just depend on your relationship with the person, you think, or is that appropriate for a letterer, or what are your thoughts?
Most of the time, I'll just move dialogue into the next panel or a previous panel to make sure it fits, because I don't think I've ever gotten any pushback for that. So if there's not enough room in panel 1, there's plenty of room in panel 2. I'll take, a few lines of dialogue and move it down, as long as it sort of makes sense. I have had to, one time that I can remember, I had to contact the writer and say there's not enough room and it won't fit anywhere else. So you should probably, it would save, otherwise the panel is just a word balloon if all the dialogue is in here. So we went back and forth on that, and he made the edits and it worked out great. So, I would say don't be afraid to make suggestions. I mean, they're coming to you because they expect that you know what you're doing. So if you have ideas, and I work with a lot of first-time creators, so they just may not be aware of the options out there. Like, oh, I didn't even think about word limits per panel. So yeah, just tell them, hey, this doesn't work. But I don't make any story edits or anything. I'm not changing dialogue or anything like that. It's just more about placement.
Okay, very nice. Very nice. Okay. And,
Jake, nobody's knocking at my door, Jake. Those are just big ass raindrops.
It's the Panamanian FBI coming to snatch you up, buddy. Do you guys have a version of that?
No.
Panamanian feds.
We have death squads
Mm.
and military police, and when they come for you, just don't come back. So no, we don't have an FBI down here. Okay, this is ridiculous.
You're good, buddy. We're getting close to wrapping her up here. We got a couple more minutes, but Derek Clay, the Dukester, hey buddy, he says, "Hail everyone," and then also Eric did great on our book. So there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, so let's see here. More fantastic artwork. Is there anything else you'd like to share, Eric? I mean, we also got the perks. We can talk the perks before we go, of course. But is there anything else you'd like to hit, or?
Yeah, I mean, there's 70 hours left on the campaign for the Kickstarter. I've also got one over on Fund My Comic. That one's more of just a bare bones. I've heard a lot of people saying, I'm tired of all the extras. I just want my book. So we actually have a campaign that is just the book over there. So that's been fun. I'm hoping, I don't know, but 70 hours, I don't know. I'm hoping that we get $5,000. That would ultimately be like way beyond what we were thinking. I didn't expect this much with even the 73 backers. We had really low expectations, sort of, because we're not expecting anybody that already has the book to back it, and we're trying to reach outside of that CG pool to find other like-minded comic book fans in other places that either don't go to Indiegogo or just don't know about it. So it's like, all right, let's put our oar down, let's grab a spear, and let's go find some people. And that's what we're doing. Is trying to expand. So if we could hit $5,000, I mean, ultimately I think that would be perfect, but even 3,600 is way more than what we were. I really had very, very low expectations for this one. Not to say the quality of the book or anything, just, going into Kickstarter without an audience is, you get diminishing returns. It's hard to do. So.
Right. Establishing the audience.
We all the uncertainty on pink and green right now. So you never know what you're going to get. So that's the scary thing.
And that's true. Like, and that's why in the next one we're launching on my own website right now. You can go to battlebrickroad.com and it links to both of these. But we're going to have the main crowdfund exclusive on that website for the majority of it. We've got some really cool stuff in the works for that as well that I haven't announced yet. I've teased that we're going to have probably the most unique and exclusive cover that anybody will ever have in comics history, but that just might be hyperbole. I don't know. We'll have to find out. I mean, we'll see if it works, but I think it's going to be something special.
I mean, with your record, we can only expect that. So, yeah.
We'll see.
That's actually exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool.
Oh, we also have a good story too. It's not just about a great cover. We've got a fantastic story. So
we got Vic Do. What's up, Vic? Got to keep doing my suck up duties. Silverline Comics Funder. I read that a bit differently at first.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Thanks for coming by, Vic.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I knew who this was right away, just without having to scroll down. Did you color this, or was this all? Was this?
No, that was Bancroft colored that actually.
Oh,
Michael Bancroft colored.
Right.
And I drew that piece. Palette. Yeah, it's got the Lucent palette. I don't remember what I drew it for. If I just had it with me, and this is a couple of years ago. They wanted to do a color off between Corey Barton and Michael Bancroft, and this was the piece they colored. And
nice.
Mike won. I don't know if Mike would win this time, but they both have grown leaps and bounds with their coloring.
So they did a color off Australian rules?
Yeah. They had to do it shirtless out in the outback. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Surrounded by kangaroos.
Yeah. So that's the $5,000 stretch goal for this. I don't know if it'll make it. If not, then we can move it on to the next campaign. It'd be fun to see that as a print. So gonna do that.
Yes. For me, you kind of hit something that I've noticed as well. I think it's probably just a general consensus at this point, but a lot of the extras, you do just sort of run out of wall space or shelf space or any space. But prints for me, like the things that I'm really interested in are stickers. I really like stickers. I like bookmarks, and I like prints. So those they don't get in the way, and they're pretty cost effective, and you can put some really great art on there.
Yeah, and as a businessman, I want to be able to have stuff that fits in the package that I can all go flat all at once. So that's always something to keep in mind. And we did the 11x17 posters of the last one that you fold them, and those are kind of So the prints that we're going to do now are miniaturized. They're roughly the size of a cover. It says 6x9 on the campaign, but it's going to be about 6.5 by 10 in that range. So that way you can get a piece of artwork that doesn't have creases all the way through it.
Right. Yeah, no, that's definitely for me, comic book covers, again, just back to the whole thing about it being art, I never realized how obsessed with art my life was until realizing it. And it's like, covers can even just be a great piece of art. I put my covers up here just for funsies in the background there, but yeah. Okay, great. So let's talk perks, buddy. We're getting close to the end here, but let's can't forget that. So Please take it away.
Yeah. So the first one is our PDF digital deluxe bundle. It is volume 1 and the supplemental book, which is sort of behind the scenes how everything came together. Battle
Very nice.
character designs, fan art, and all that kind of stuff. That was a fun little piece. I actually had Vaughn help me design that, and put that together. So that's the first time this has ever been offered digitally, is here on this campaign. So yeah, I
Very
think
nice.
that's great. And
this
then,
page is
know,
awesome
we've
right
got-
here, dude.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think we're going to make that a trading card because it's the back cover of the book itself. I think somebody on, I think it was Billy Basco on Twitter was like, dude, that card looks great. And I'm like, it's not a card, but it can be.
Totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So each in the future, each watcher will have their own artwork like that. So
That card looks great. Like, yeah. That's an awesome.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, we've got the digital, and then followed by that are just the books themselves. This is the only place exclusive to this campaign is a virgin cover of the Kelsey Shannon cover. It's not going to be available anywhere else. The only time we're going to print it is for this green site here. So 70 hours to get that if you wanted the
Green
virgin
Devil.
cover, which means no layer, or no, excuse me, no logo. We have both versions of that available here. There's the no logo version and then the logo version. The 2 original covers from the original Indiegogo campaign are also available. And then varying degrees of add-ons that you can get at checkout as well. But the other thing we did is we officially joined Puzzlegate, #Puzzlegate, the Kenneth Rocafort cover. We're doing a puzzle of that, so you can get it at 500 or 1,000 pieces. So we've sold a couple on here. We've sold a couple on Fund My Comic. I'm going to get one for myself, and I'm going to send one to Zeb, the co-creator and writer of the Battlebridge Road. So that's fun. We had some people like basically telling us you have to do it. So, and it had to be the Rocafort cover. So you know what? You got to give people what they want. So
I mean, it's a great piece to puzzleize for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be real tricky up in the top where it's just gradients of this mustard yellow and olive green, but I'm up to the challenge.
Very nice. Just
Then,
say hello to
we
the
have,
chat real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick. We got Greg. Hey, Greggy. He says BBR is in my top 3 of CG books. Top tier quality. Very nice.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate that.
Yeah, Greg. Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
I was going to say we have the 3 cover combo, which is all 3 covers. It's the virgin cover and then the 2 main covers, and you get a little bit of a discount there. So instead of 75, you get it for 70. And then the everything reward level, all covers. It's not pictured here, but you would also get both the virgin cover and the logo cover of Kelsey Shannon's. You know, my cover, Kenneth's cover, the supplemental book, and a 4x6 character sketch, and the supplemental book, all for $150, which I think might be the best deal in terms of collecting for this whole campaign here. So you get everything at I'd say pretty good price. One to read and plenty to frame.
Right. Yeah. This is the source book, right? Operation Zephyr. Yeah,
it's the behind the scenes stuff. You know, I had talked about how I initially started it as concept art for, character design things. So all that's in there. Story beats, pages that were drawn but were ultimately removed or redrawn. So the old versions of those pages. There's a pretty hefty fan art section in the back. The logo iterations we went through, all the sort of everything that led up to the story that we ultimately came up with.
Love it. Very nice. I'm a big source book concept creation guy. Just like video game manuals too. I was really big on those as a kid. Just they were fun, and you had great little pieces of artwork and you got to learn about the thing you're really digging at the time. But yeah, as a creator, they're actually super valuable sometimes if you find a good one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome, man. This shit is fantastic, Eric.
Thank you very much.
Indeed. Pedro, how you doing, bud? Are you hanging on for dear life over there?
I'm drowning. No, I'm doing great, man.
Oh, God.
It's really loud. I don't want to be a point of contention within the interview, so I'm just muting.
No.
But dude, I'm enjoying every second of this. Like, dude, everything looks great. Congratulations. This has been like an enormous success. You're one of the highlights of the community, sir. Like
Thank you.
I'm not afraid to say that.
I appreciate that, Pedro.
Sure.
Thank you.
We got the links in the chat. We've also got all of Eric's information in the description.
There you go.
Battlebrickroad.com. Definitely one thing smart for creators to do. That's one thing we're looking to do is basically, so actually, it's just kind of what a lot of people are doing, trying to find a hub for their spot.
Mhm.
You know, basically creating your own website. I mean, it makes sense.
I
Yep,
think that's the
highly
end goal
recommend
for
it.
everybody.
Yeah. If nothing else,
Yeah.
get the URL to your comic, name of the comic, comic.com, and you can always forward that, domain to any URL you use. And that's what we did for a long time. But as we move forward, it'll be go to battlebrickroad.com for everything. And, hopefully we can continue to build that.
Beautiful. We got Greg here. He says, I'd love to make a Battlegate deck for Battle Brick Road. Right.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds cool.
Greg is developing a card game called Battlegate.
Okay.
Yes, he's Pedro and I are, I guess, licensing our properties
Yep.
for use here. It should be fun. He's approaching a bunch of indie guys. So, okay, we got Chris Fisk here. Says, with some old school knowledge, before the iPhone, game manuals were what we brought into the bathroom to read while we torpedoed the Russians. I like it.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the only spot I want to be torpedoing anything, really, I suppose. It's like the shitter.
Yeah.
Wherever you go, make war, I guess.
Right. I don't know. Okay. And lastly here, Greg says, the bomb books enchanted me. Oh, all right. When I was a child, so reading BBR was a blast because of how Eric fit the elements of the original story into fresh new scenes. Very nice.
Thanks. I can only take partial credit for that. Zeb was the one who really weaved that together. Obviously, it's collaboration, but he pulled it more towards that original heart of Wizard of Oz, and I'm over here trying to pull it away and make it something else. So it's been this really neat tug of war,
Very nice.
creative tug of war to make it all fit, and I think it's worked out wonderfully.
Yeah, I mean the finished product is absolutely beautiful, and it's very creative, and I mean you really couldn't want anything more out of a comic book. I think here. Let's see, it says we have 23 decks in the planning stages and 3 being designed and developed. There we go.
Awesome.
So it is indeed about that time, gentlemen. And Eric, again, we just want to thank you, buddy, for your time. I know you're up to your, can I say this, up to your tits and work. So thank you for carving an hour out for us. Okay. Very nice. Pedro, do you have anything to add, bud, before we scooch?
No, I was waiting for a thunder to come down, but I guess nature does what it wants. But no, everything's cool, man. Thank you for being on the show, Eric.
Of course.
It's a pleasure and an honor to have you here. And nothing but success, man.
Thank you.
Smack that like button. Okay. Yep. So Eric, we'll go ahead and bump you to the back, buddy. You're free to hang out, or you're free to go, whatever you want to do. We'll wrap the show up here. And before you go, everybody, let's give it up for Eric Weathers one more time. All right. Goodbye, buddy. See you. Oh, come on, Pedro.
As long as you're having fun, buddy. As long as you're having fun.
I am.
I'm okay.
And I'll be adding a couple more things lately. I thought I would just test the waters here.
I
got this.
Are adding more.
No, that's not what that is. That's porno music, but we'll save that for another day.
That's when we have coming to the stage.
Indeed.
Destiny.
Alrighty. So, right up next to that main stage, y'all, the lovely Pedro. Hey.
Pedro. Oh man, I wish that wasn't
That's
part
right.
of my
Remember,
past,
you ain't
man.
tipping, you slipping. You know, buddy.
I just wish. Yeah. Thank you.
I miss
Thank you for opening the wound, man. Thank you.
My pleasure. You know,
Yeah.
if anything, I'm here to take you back to old painful memories that you don't want to relive ever again. I'm
Exactly.
here
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that.
It
Let
was
me
a
do
low
that some
point.
more.
It was a low point. I mean, you're without a job in a new city. You need some quick cash, and you do male stripping.
Yes. I've talked to a male stripper. I worked not as a male stripper or in a male strip club. I did work in a female strip club, and I talked to a male stripper. And it's interesting. There's been a few conversations I've had with strippers, both male and female, where I watch people as human beings ride the gambit of emotion. They start at typically with a smile, being happy, talking about how much money they're making. And then, seriously, a few times it's been within a split second of like, then they have to think about what they did. And one guy was like, he's like, what would you do if somebody put $30,000 in front of you on the table? I was like, damn, buddy. And he was like, kind of like trying not to tear up. It was an emotional moment, but you know, don't be a male stripper.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing. Like when people put in front of you, like, here's $30,000. That there's a Boston pancake at the end of the night. You think about it, you know.
A Boston pancake. No, I am not
or
familiar.
or a Minnesota Bears bat, or a rusty
Minnesota
trombone.
bareback.
Like, yeah.
Oh, God.
No, Minnesota.
I know what a
birth
rusty
bat.
trombone is.
Yeah, a Minnesota birth bat. That's just,
Interesting.
yeah, you
Interesting.
just want to stay away. Yeah. Or you need to do some docking with your client. $30,000 doesn't look like a lot of money. What?
I was talking about docking the other day, just as a
Yeah.
It's a funny phrase. It's a funny
Yeah.
thing. It's a strange thing. Doesn't make a lot of sense, really.
No, not really.
It's like you
I
just
think
do
it's
it for the
time for
laugh.
us to go, man. I think it's time for us to go.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All righty then. Okay, gang. Jake, good to see you, brother. Love you, man. Greg, always a pleasure,
Take
dude.
care, guys.
Chris Fisk.
It was
you
awesome
rock,
as
man.
always.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.